Let's take a look at what is happening in the markets, and we start off with the local bourse that did not get a robust handover from the Asian markets. Even though we did see China in February returning to inflation territory after deflation for 4 months. So, of course, looking at the JSE there, declining by almost 0.33% on the day. We do have the Resources 10 complex carrying the bulk of those losses, the loss just shy of 1%. Financial 15 down slightly more than 0.1%, and the Industrial 25 relatively flat. Let's take a look at what is happening in the U.S. markets, and on that front, investors still digesting the non-farm payrolls for February that came out on Friday. So, of course, we did get a growth in jobs coming out higher than what markets had anticipated, although we did get a rise in unemployment there, just a slight uptick in wages. So, of course, lighter than what markets had anticipated over there. So, giving quite a mixed signal over there. Of course, we know how important the labor market is to the Fed's monetary policy direction. But a sea of red over there, with the U.S. markets extending those losses that we did see on Friday. S&P 500 declining more than 0.33%. Tech-heavy Nasdaq down by the same margin, and the Dow also declining by almost a similar margin. Let's take a look at what is happening with markets across the Atlantic, and those markets also having that negative sentiment filtering through to them as well, with negativity on the FTSE 100 of more than 0.25%, the CAC 40 with a decline there of almost 0.5%, and the DAX with a loss of almost 0.7%. Let's take a look at the currency scene and start off with how the rand is doing against some of the major currencies. Relatively flat against the US dollar, standing at 18 rand at 67, but quite some strength coming through to the rand, looking at its comparison to the pound and the euro at 23 rand 92 against the pound and at 20 rand 39 against the euro. Let's have a look at the other currency pairs over there, with the euro dollar standing at 1.09, the pound dollar at 1.288, and the yen just below 147 against the US dollar. And quite interesting economic data that did come out of Japan is that the country avoided a recession in the last quarter, the last half of 2023, where we saw growth in the final figures in the fourth quarter.